I'm Holly Hurd, and this is the story of how Jesus Christ saved my life. I was raised in a strong Catholic family that was very supportive, very loving, and from an outsider's point of view, things shouldn't have turned out how they did. But I was raised in Wathena, Kansas, and we moved to St. Joe when I was 12, and I went to church when I was growing up my whole life, and again in a Catholic church, and we went to church till I was about 10, and then my mom had a back injury, and we stopped going to church, and she, of course, still believed in Jesus and worshiped him, but I kind of fell off that boat for some reason, and I never looked back until recently. And when we moved to St. Joe when I was 12, I was very awkward. I've always been pretty awkward. I've never had any self-confidence, any self-worth. And an example of that, I went to school and I wore my sister's pair of Converse, and this girl said she liked my Converse and she was a goth girl. And so the next day I came to school and I was a goth kid. That's how seeking I was of approval. And when I was 12, I was hospitalized for unexplained chronic stomach pain, and they gave me IV pain medicine for it. And I became addicted to that. And so over the next 2 years, the stomach pain went away, but I was so addicted to that pain medicine that I lied about it and just kept going back to the hospital for that pain medicine. And eventually I got tired of being hospitalized, so I said, oh, the pain's gone, God healed me, even though I didn't believe in God. But I got out of the hospitals and went and found some new friends that I needed something to fill that void of IV pain medicine. So I went and found some new friends that smoked weed, and that was my new thing. And I was 14 at the time, and I started smoking weed, and all through high school that's all I did, except for a few pain pills here and there. And I always maintained good grades. That was how I got my parents off my back, because they knew what I was doing, but I always maintained good grades. And once I graduated high school, I found alcohol, and that's when things went downhill for me. I started drinking, and just to sum it up, I won't go into too much detail, but just to sum it up, I broke my arm, I broke my collarbone, I got in car wrecks, I lost jobs, I got kicked, I failed out of college. I wreaked a lot of havoc with my drinking. And then after at that point, I found the devil on earth, which is, in my opinion, the devil on earth, which is meth. And I'm going kind of fast here, but I'm skipping a lot of points in my life. But after that, I started doing meth, and the first time I tried it, it just took a hold of me, and there was no going back. And I started that when I was 20 years old, and about 2 months after that, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was definitely a higher power that gave me the ability to quit doing meth for my daughter. And I had her and stayed sober for about 9 months of her life. And I quit doing it when I found out I was pregnant, and stayed sober for about 9 months of her life. And then I started doing meth again when she was about 9 months old. And her name's Ava Mae, by the way. She's a beautiful little girl. When she was about 9 months old, I started doing meth again, and I hid that for about two or 3 years. I just kept doing it for about 2 or 3 years of her life. And when she was 2.5 years old, 2 3/4 years old, I abandoned her and moved to Kansas City and was just living homeless, living in my car, living in random dope houses without any protection, just doing IV methamphetamine. That was my low point, for sure. And I started to hear voices as a result of it, drug-induced schizophrenia, and they told me to do some pretty bad things to people that I acted on. And at that point, I checked myself into the mental ward at Truman Med Center, and from there went to drug rehab. And at Preferred Family Health Care. And from there, I met a woman named Grace, and that was the turning point in my life. And it's ironic, her name is Grace. I call her my saving grace, and that's my middle name too, actually. And she introduced me to God, and she asked me one day, "Do you ever pray?" And I said, "I don't know how." And she said, "Well, it doesn't matter how you pray as long as you do it." And I said, "Well, I'm unsure how to still," and I was really self-conscious about praying. And she taught me a way to pray, and the minute I prayed for the first time, it just brought me to tears, and I felt a sense of relief wash over me. And from then on, I had God in my life. And it was as if He was guiding me, and in my every move, and I didn't feel an urge to use meth anymore. And He lifted the desire from my life. And from that point on, I've been walking with Jesus next to me. And I have Grace to thank for that. And I graduated, so to speak, from that drug rehab program in February of last year, February of 2015. No, February of 2016. And I've been clean off meth since December 31st, 2015. And it's just been, my life has just taken a complete turn since I've had Jesus in my life. My name is Holly. I am not a product of my past because I am redeemed.